Hello and welcome to another Champions edition of AGT Time. Cody Patterson here along with
Jay Bach. Looking at Champions episode 2 from Monday night, the 14th of January, 2019. Holy moly.
Yeah, 2019, Jay.
Welcome to 2019, everybody.
Yeah, so episode 2.
Episode 2, before we sort of jump into talking about the acts, I wanted to talk a little bit about how episode 1 went, and there was a lot of questions that came out of that. There was, it won its time slot. I think it won the night with 9.9 million viewers back on January 7th. And we learned about how the show is going to be running with the 2 acts that go through each week for the first 5 weeks. And making the final 10 that would, I'm assuming, perform and compete on the last 2 weeks, or we'll somehow have that revealed to us over the last 2 weeks. But one act is put through with Judge's Golden Buzzer. The other one is put through by Superfans. And it sounds like they'd been pretty tight-lipped on who the Superfans were, how many there were, where they were, all that sort of stuff. And I don't know, Cody, how much you looked into this, but there was a really nice article on the Reality Blurred website. Reality Blurred, this guy has done, I don't know, he's been running this sort of reality TV website for quite a while. I stumbled across it maybe as much as 10 years ago.
Wow.
So he's been around, and he's got some connections, and he actually had an interview with somebody on the production team at Fremantle Media, which is the team that did the production for America's Got Talent, the Champions. They said that these 50 superfans, it is actually just 50 superfans, they were chosen or found by their research team, and they had one from each state. Now, it's not the same 50 superfans every week, but there might be 10 that were unavailable, so they brought 10 more people in, or sort of a rotating group. But it was always 50 each night.
So were these people like live in the audience watching?
No.
Okay. So how did they know what they needed to judge?
They watched the show live off camera.
Okay.
Not from the studio audience. And then after the last vote, they would, via keypads, cast their ballots, and the winner would be announced at the end of the show. And the spokesperson told Reality Blurred, Andy Dennart is his name, he told Reality Blurred that it wasn't necessarily the same 50, but there would be crossover from week to week, similar to what you would find with any voting show. So my takeaways is that I'm a little surprised that there was actually only 50 people. I expected to see 150 people, making sure to have people from all 50 states. But it is actually only 50 people.
Which seems like a really small sample size.
It does seem like a small sample size. I'm not really a pollster, but 50 seems pretty weak, considering that it was watched by 9.9 million people.
Yeah, that's a really small sample size.
It's a fraction of a fraction.
Now, I took Province Stats.
Yeah, you're the math guy.
And that's a really small sample. So,
I'm curious what other demographics they considered. As they announced our top 3, they said so-and-so did well with the, 18 to 34, or with the ladies, or, geography or whatever. So I'm curious about gender, age, education, what other demographics they might have considered when selecting these 50.
Right, and how did they even find these 50? They just, you said they actually did some research. Were these people that are known in like the media? Are they people that are famous in the arts, or
I don't know if they're talent.
Yes, yeah.
if it's judges from the state fairs,
Yep.
competitions,
Yeah.
or if they're hosts of dance studios, or who they might be. It is kind of curious to wonder that. I also thought it was worth noting that they are in fact watching a screen. They are not in the studio audience, so their experience is going to be a little bit more similar to what we have at home watching our own screens.
Right, especially during a live show, because if they're watching it live off screen, then it'd be the same experience like as we were watching the summer edition,
Right.
AGT proper during the summer, watching the live shows. Whereas now we're watching an edit.
True, yeah, we are watching an edited version, probably more edited, certainly more edited than what they watched. But I'm happy to know that they are watching a screen and not there live in the audience, which I think really affects some of these acts, whether it be like close-up magic or like light balance. That the live in-person sort of experience is going to be very different than what you get on your screen.
Yeah. Now it still bothers me that there's it's one from each state, because look at a state like Tennessee or California or Texas or New York, those type of states where, us in East Tennessee are very different culture than West Tennessee,
Sure,
and even Central Tennessee. So it's like, and South Texas versus North Texas, and New York City versus upstate, that type thing. So you have different people that are interested in different things. So it does bother me that there was just 50 people.
Yeah, I think that's worth noting. Just one other thought, kind of talking about them watching on a screen instead of live in person. They still, I'm assuming, are watching in a group of 50, which is different than watching, alone or, with your spouse or maybe even your whole family of 4 or 5. That's a very different experience than watching with 50 people.
And we're assuming they're watching like in a auditorium or something on a screen. I mean, they could be watching on their computer at home.
Yep.
So
there's that, and then the last kind of thing that I still wonder. Are they doing some kind of ranked choice voting? Are they only picking their number 1? Are they picking their top 3 or top 5? Or how are they voting? How are they tabulated? I'm a little curious about that. I'm a little curious to learn more about how they found the people. If they have some sort of database of talent judges of some kind. And also, I'm curious why I wasn't invited.
If anybody should have been invited, it should have been you, Jay.
We are the Superfans.
That's right. We will watch anything they put on TV, right?
You know what? Any America's Got Talent is better than no America's Got Talent.
That is true. That is true.
It's worth saying. Sometimes we get grumpy about things, or we sound like we aren't excited about a particular thing. But the truth is that we love the show enough to be putting this kind of effort into talking about it and all that. So even the worst of America's Got Talent is wonderful. It's something that I always find myself looking forward to.
And what I was going to say on this topic was that it doesn't seem like it's really hurting them. That people, we're not disgruntled. It's just that we're criticizing. We're giving some constructive criticism on this, but it doesn't seem like it's hurting them in the rankings at all. It doesn't seem like they're getting totally blasted for this kind of black box voting style.
No. I've seen a few articles or a few mentions of, hey, what's going on? I don't like this. But I think for the most part, it's a great show. I trust them to give us quality content. I may disagree with one thing or another thing about the production, but at the end of the day, they still got 10 million viewers, so they're doing just fine. Yeah,
so it'll be interesting to see, from week to week, how those ratings turn out. Are people going to get turned off by this? AGT's back, we're going to watch it, but do they come back for week 2, week 3, week 4?
Sure. So, yeah, it'll be curious to see how viewership holds up.
Yep. So speaking of viewership, we watched episode 2. So you ready to get in and talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Can I take our first act, Darci Lynne Farmer?
Well, before we do that, we talked last week about Terry Crews. Did you notice we had a little bit more Terry Crews this week?
Boy, maybe a smidgen more.
A smidgen. He was like he at least came out like at the beginning of the show and talked some.
Yeah. So, yeah, a little bit more of his face up there.
So it seemed like we're getting a little bit more each week.
Yeah, and you know what? He is... he looks likable. He's got a big smile. He's kind of a manly man. You know, like he's really really has a nice stage presence. I'd be surprised if we don't see him back for America's Got Talent over the summer. But I haven't seen anything that says he will or will not be.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything confirmed. People are saying they would like to see him back and they think he'll be back. We do know Tyra will not be back.
Right.
But people are saying they've seen enough of him that they want him back for AGT proper in the summer.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I like him. I'd be happy to see him back for AGT proper.
Yep. Well, go ahead and get into your first pick overall, Darci Lynne, right?
Yeah, Darci Lynne Farmer. I think that she is as wonderful and as lovable as she's ever been. She is our teenage ventriloquist. Her song was Proud Mary, Rolling on the River, you know, and she comes out there, she's got so much confidence, and she's she's technically very good, very professional the whole way around. If I were to have any criticism of her, I'd say that she's a little bit stiff. Some of her jokes, you know, they're not great, right? She's not a really wonderful comedian. But I love her, and I love how confidently she sings, especially like the really jazzy stuff, the kind of bluesy notes that she hits, like the confidence of a, what is she, 14-year-old to stand up there and to slide into those notes. It's really, really something I love to watch. I think she's just great.
Yeah, her forte is the singing. The comedy is okay. I actually didn't feel like this was her best performance that we've seen. I agree with it. She did seem stiff. I think they commented that she seemed a little nervous, which surprised me a little bit because as much as she's been on stage, they even talked about her Darci Lynne and Friends show that she had. You know, she had her Christmas special. So she's been on stage a lot.
She has been, yeah.
These last couple of years.
You know, I wonder what going first in the night, you know, if that has any effect on it, right? If you can sit on the couch in the green room and watch an act or two before you go out there, you know, how much does that help you to relax, to just see it, feel it before you are the first one up on stage to really, you know, own the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think when she was on the show, I think she typically went towards the back, I mean, like the middle to the back of each night. And I think being on stage first kind of maybe threw her off just a little bit. It didn't let her loosen up some. And we knew also that being the first act, she wasn't going to get the golden buzzer.
Yeah, that's a little unfortunate because I think she deserved it.
I agree. I understand what AGT was kind of wanting to do here. They're wanting to bring her out, you know, really get the crowd going, pump the show up, get things real excited because it's Darci Lynne. But I think it hurt her going first.
Yeah. I also think that it would have been really, it would have been a nice production or a nice surprise from production if she had been the golden buzzer, right? Go ahead and put her out there, give her that golden buzzer, you know, put her through to the next round. And now you've got 9 acts who know that they're only going for one spot. You know, that golden buzzer is taken off the table. I think that would raise some of the drama a little bit. That might be a fun production choice.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I don't know if you remember. I think in season 12, I kind of did some statistics on the golden buzzer, and I found out that if you ran like in the 5th, 6th, 7th spot, you were more likely to get the golden buzzer. That's kind of where they typically pressed it. If you went first, if you went last, then you knew you weren't going to get it. It was always kind of in the middle spot. So it's kind of been, and we'll get to it later, but it's kind of throwing me off that they're doing the Golden Buzzer so late in the show this time.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to it being kind of right in the middle of at least the live performance. Well, not the live performances because they don't do it there, but like the judge cuts when they bring in the guest judge. That's when that would typically happen. Is they would give the Golden Buzzer kind of in the middle of the performances. So this is throwing me off.
Yeah, that's why you're here, for the really in-depth analysis.
Really boring statistics.
We're going to run the numbers, and we've got some deep statistics on our America's Got Talent Golden Buzzers here.
So no, I thought she did fine. It wasn't her best performance, but it's Darci Lynne, I think.
Yeah, the judges' comments. Howie said she seemed like a seasoned professional. He mentioned later that he would go see her even without the puppets. Simon said that he was literally blown away.
Literally.
Sorry. She's just a girl. She is not a big giant fan or a vacuum or a blower. But you know what? That's one of my pet peeves, is using literally to mean figuratively.
Oh,
but
I'm totally on board with you on that. It totally kills me when someone does that.
He said that he thinks she deserves to be the world champion. Mel B says she won her heart. Heidi says you're one of the most unique acts, but no golden buzzer. I gave her an A, very close to an A+. I just love her. Maybe I'm not separating this particular act from the rest of her body of work. But I think she's just wonderful. I really, really enjoy Darci Lynne Farmer.
Yeah, just to kind of cap off this, you talk about body of work. I'm glad that they're looking at these performances and not their overall body of work for how they're judging.
Yeah, I think that they are doing a good job of that, and I do appreciate that too.
So then we move on to not Ashleigh and Pudsey, but Ashleigh and Sully.
Yes. You want to tell us what Ashleigh and Sully did?
Well, I hope I can get through this because I actually got pretty teary-eyed watching this. So man. Thinking about the, Pudsey and her little puppy dog, and it was kind of nice, seeing the background of Ashleigh and Pudsey, and also Ashleigh and Sully. She received Pudsey for her 11th birthday. I thought it was interesting. She was on the Jay Leno after she won Britain's Got Talent. She went on like Jay Leno. She was doing the tours. And wow. I knew nothing about her before this. So it's like,
yeah, it's all new to me. You said that Pudsey even had his own movie, and they had a TV show.
Yeah,
quite amazing.
Absolutely. It's like, they was just superstar all of a sudden, but it's interesting. We didn't know anything about them.
Yeah, I said they did not translate to this side of the pond very well. They stayed in Britain, and while she was on Leno, I did not see much of her at all, like you.
No, I agreed. It's interesting that we didn't hear anything. As much as we see dog acts on here, we've had Sarah and Hero, we've had a Latte Dogs, we've had several dog acts, and for not to even, get wind that she's won this, and what a superstar they became, just a little surprising. But for her performance, and now she has Sully, who I think they said is 5 now.
I missed the age.
Okay, but she got Sully. And Sully knew that that Pudsey was getting up there in age, and learned everything he could off of Pudsey. And when Pudsey finally passed, Sully knew that it was he needed to step into that it was his turn to step up.
It's his turn to step up. Yeah. Sully passed from cancer, so they come out and they have a nice little act. they were cute. It was sort of a, I don't know, boxing or professional wrestling act.
Yeah, kind of thought it was a boxing act. And but they performed the song "Maniac,"
Yes.
which kind of threw me off with it kind of being a boxing act. I would think they would have picked something from Rocky.
Yeah, it would have been nice, I guess, too. But maybe a little less lyrical. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, living in America.
This felt kind of like a typical dog act to me. The dog walked around on his back feet, front feet, jumped around her between the legs. I guess eventually it looked like he maybe pinned her.
Yeah, and they sparred a little bit.
A tiny bit,
Yeah.
I didn't really see anything here that I have never seen before. I wasn't blown away by it. Not much, anyhow.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, it seemed a little bit different than what we've seen from maybe Sarah and Hero the past couple of years. I kind of like the sparring a little bit, them, rolling around on the ground and him kind of pinning her some. I thought that was a little interesting. I may have kind of put this up a little higher because of the feel-good story of it, the puppy dog story of it. It seemed to, we talk about the emotion of the story and not the talent of the act, but I feel that this one had a little bit more emotion, had a lot more emotion to it than what we've seen on other dog acts.
And that does make me wonder if those 50 Superfans, if they see those video packages or not.
I would say that if it's live, then they may, but this kind of goes into, did the judges see, the judges are surprised by who comes out.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that.
Now, one other thing, Jay, on Ashleigh and Sully, I can't remember if it happened on Ashleigh and Sully, but I noticed on some of the other international acts that the act would come out and they'd have to introduce themselves, talk about who they are, what they did, that type of thing. I don't remember if they did that with Ashleigh and Sully or if they knew right off the bat when they came out who they were.
Yeah, I don't know that she came out and had a conversation with the judges before. Some of them do get that privilege and some of them don't. I don't know.
Okay.
Now, we got to rank our two young lady and dog acts. Last week we had Sarah and Hero, where they did their bank heist. This week we had Ashleigh and Sully, and they did their boxing match. How do you rank them? Who do you like better?
I think for this particular show, I liked Sarah and Hero better. I liked the bank heist. I thought Hero going into the suitcase at the very end was a much better close than what Sully did with the pinning at the end of this episode.
Yeah. I kind of batted this around in my head, and I said Sully looks a little more spry than Hero, a little more, a little more. What do I say?
Youthful.
A little more youthful.
Yeah.
That's a better way to put it. Hero was a little more older, the senior dog, but he did have that, hide in the suitcase trick, something that I had never seen before, which is very cute. It's kind of nice to have a signature move that I can remember. So I would give the edge to Sarah and Hero, but just very so slightly more.
Agreed.
But yeah, just two very similar acts. I think it is worth comparing them head to head against each other too.
Yeah, it'd have been nice to kind of see them in the same episode.
Yeah. I gave them a B-.
Okay, what'd you give Sarah and Hero?
I gave Sarah and Hero a B- as well.
B-. Okay, so yeah, you're right. It's very, very close.
We are running the same grade on those two. So yeah, that's very, very similar acts. I enjoyed them both plenty. Not surprised there was no golden buzzer there.
Not surprised either. No.
Yep. And next we had, I think, one of your favorite acts, right?
Yeah, light balance. I like. I'm not a big on the dance acts, but I like light balance, and I liked Illuminate when they were on the show. I like these dance acts that do something different, and these light dancing performers. Because the dancing itself is not just a talent, but the person that programmed the lights in order to be in sync with the choreography, I think is also a talent.
They're putting themselves in the right places at the right time. It is pretty good stuff.
Right. And now, light balance, I think Illuminate was one of the first to do this. And I got to see Illuminate this past summer live.
Yeah, you mentioned that in one of our preview shows.
Yeah, and that was, watching them live was definitely a way different experience than watching it on TV, because you don't have the cutaways. You kind of get to see, now you do see some of the other performers that aren't lit up, kind of. The auditorium's completely dark, but you can still kind of see some of that. But I thought it was much better live than on TV.
I believe that. Yeah.
But having said that, I love light balance. They're a great performance.
Yeah, these guys were third place on season 12 back in 2017. So not all that long ago. In their video package, it says that they had hoped to win, but they've took what they could. They're able to parlay their success into touring, and they have been making a much better life for all of their families. So they're doing well coming off that 2017 time on America's Got Talent. Like you said, we've got these lights that are all programmed on their outfits. They're all put themselves in the right places at the right time so that the lights play into their choreography. When they came out, for some reason there was 4 guys in a car. I don't know if the car had any significance to anything. I
thought it was a cool effect.
That was kind of a nice effect. Yeah. Just to be a cool effect. That's fine. Then we had 4 guys doing some tricks with guitars. To Kiss, I Was Made for Loving You. And then had kind of a cool thing with a 4-armed drummer doing a drummer solo. That was cool. And then they did Backstreet Boys, their Backstreet's Back song.
Yep.
Did kind of a fun trick there where their heads rolled off their shoulders and they tossed it from one hand to the other hand and then back on top of their neck. It was kind of a fun little trick. Being able to turn off the main guy's actual lights on his head and have, one of the other dancers, be the head that bounces down their arm, those sort of tricks are what they're able to do with their lights, with the blacked out auditorium. Some pretty good dancing, some pretty good, generally in sync, good stuff. They allow space for the technology to perform. And sometimes they just have to make sure that they're in the right spot. And from what I can tell, they're almost always in the right spot. I don't see much for errors there. They and they get to play games with our eyes or with our expectations because they can turn lights off and on. And they did sort of a thing where the lights flashed, from one person to the next person out, 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 and back in towards the center. And, the guys just had to hold their pose and let the technology do it. And it was a really cool effect of them sort of splitting apart and coming back together. So I enjoy this kind of stuff. It's good. Mel B said she loved it. Heidi said it was innovative and fresh. Simon said we call the show Champions because we want to see the best, and you define why. Howie reminds us that only 2 acts can go through.
Howie.
Howie.
These guys are fantastic, and looking back, I think they should have started the show with this. I think,
Yeah.
when they finished, the place was fired up. Everyone was jumping up and down and screaming. I mean, they lit the place up, and they really should have started the show with this to really get things going. I don't think they would have been as nervous going first as Darci Lynne was.
Yeah, true.
And
but something about having a whole group up there, certainly.
Yeah, but after they performed, I was completely expecting a golden buzzer at this point.
Yeah. I wasn't totally expecting the golden buzzer. Not the best dance troupe that we've ever seen. Definitely not the worst. I'm going to give them a B. They were better than Ashleigh and Sully. I don't get a real sense of personality from them. Like, I don't really know who they are. And I do wonder if I would fatigue of this act or this kind of act after, 5 or 10 minutes of seeing it. I may get a little bored with it.
Now, I will say, when we went and saw I Illuminate, it was very, very exciting. The first couple of songs, it was like an hour show. And the first couple of songs, that really gets you fired up. It's something you recognize. But then it kind of goes into a lull. And they just kind of do some techno songs for a little while. And it did kind of settle in. People kind of got a little restless, like, okay. But then, kind of the later half of the performance, then things really pick back up. So you're kind of right that, you maybe watch them do 1 or 2 songs and you're really, really into it. But then it does kind of settle in. Okay, we've kind of seen this, and they really have to kind of do something different to get people's attention back.
Yeah. Did I Illuminate do anything in a, the more ballad style, something more the speed of your silhouettes, that, maybe give you a little more space to breathe? I
don't think so. I think it was more, I think it was really upbeat stuff most of the time, but kind of that middle section of the performance was just random techno, like dance club type music that no one really knew. But when they started doing, then they came back and started doing like a Michael Jackson set, and they did like a Madonna thing, and they then brought in songs that people recognized, and they were doing dancing moves that people can relate to. That's when things really picked up. But when they were just doing random techno, club music, people lost interest.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe adding an element of that ballad, that different space, maybe more room to tell a story, maybe that would serve them well. That's something maybe I would like to see for one of their performances, is to change the pace for us.
Yeah, and I think that's very valid, to kind of slow things down, give you something to breathe, but also give people a theme, give them something that they can relate to and recognize, and that kind of keeps them interested. But maybe you're right, do 1 or 2 songs where it kind of lets people breathe for a little bit. But
yeah, tell us a story.
Yeah, people love stories.
Yeah.
But speaking of stories, Taylor Williamson tried to tell some stories.
Yeah, he certainly tried to. Taylor Williamson, our comedian from 2013, season 8, America's Got Talent. We get in his video package, we're reminded of him flirting with Heidi. We kind of revisit his journey. He reminds us that he was second place to Kenichi Iniba, the Asian dancer. Simon, Taylor come out on stage. And again, the banter with the judges is where they knock it out of the park. Simon says, Taylor, what are you going to do different this time? And Taylor says, well, I'm going to tell different jokes. Which is a really, really good answer.
Yeah. It's been 5 years. You kind of need to have a different set.
Yeah. I'd be disappointed if he came out and told the same jokes, I guess.
I don't know if I would have remembered the jokes from 5 years ago, but...
Yeah. We couldn't remember a Christmas episode from 2 years ago. So.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So he comes out. We get some jokes from him.
Yeah.
Says, never give up on your dreams. He says, I make more money doing comedy than Bill Cosby does. Whew.
I don't
Maybe it's a little too fresh.
I
I don't
A
know.
little too fresh. I don't know if people actually got it. I don't know if people really understood what he was trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know. Bill Cosby, a classically beloved male father figure comedian that I remember from my youth, and boy, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah.
So it's that's almost more sad than funny. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with Bill Cosby. So I guess laugh in the face of adversity. I don't know, but maybe not his best joke. He makes a few other jokes. One about doing a show in South Dakota. And he says, "I'm Jewish. Will people get my Jewish jokes?" And the guy that he's talking to is like, "Oh yeah, you can make jokes about Jews here," which. I'm from Northwest Iowa. I'm just spitting distance from South Dakota. It hits pretty close to home, and it's I don't know. I didn't love that. I'd like to think that I'm generally more sensitive than the guy he was talking to, and I don't like having everybody put in that same bucket, I guess. But his last little set, he says he meets a girl named Sharon, which is his mom's name. And he said, I don't want it to be weird, so instead of calling you Sharon, I'm going to call you Mom. Which, I thought was kind of a fun little joke. He talked about it in the midst of, maybe some bedroom humor. It was fine. That one probably landed with me better than his other jokes. I don't know. What do you think of Taylor Williamson yourself?
I thought the one thing that I really liked about him this particular night was what he was wearing.
All right.
Or the way that he looked. He kind of had a little 5 o'clock shadow going on. He was wearing this red suit. He really looked like a starving comedian. He looked like a comedian that's working the nightclubs, struggling to kind of fill some shows. I mean, we know Taylor Williamson's doing pretty well.
I think he's doing well.
I think he's doing well. But the way he just kind of looked, it made it look like, from when he was on originally on season 8, he looked rough. And I thought that was kind of fit him.
Yeah. And that's what the judges said. Simon said, I think the nerves got to you. And Heidi said the nerves are what makes him adorable.
Yes.
So I agree with that. Mel B says he didn't make her laugh as much as she knows he can. Howie reminds us that it's up to the voters and comedy is subjective.
Yeah.
So, not the best set that he's given us. I gave him a C+.
Okay.
Again, his banter with the judges is better than his prepared material, much like a lot of the comedians.
Yeah, and this is now it happened with Vicky Barbalak. We're kind of seeing the comedians not doing so well here. It also felt like he was kind of rushing through his set. I don't know if that was the edit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He didn't really wow me. But I'm also in a different situation watching this alone, taking notes on it than watching it in a room with other people laughing. That's really contagious. And when you get the whole crowd on your side, that can really change your experience and change your memories of how an act was. Yeah. So it was good though. Not great.
I did feel that the one joke he made that fell flat but had the potential to be really funny was the joke he talked about, foreigners taking American jobs, and then he looks down and there's 4 judges that are not from America on America's Got Talent, which we've always talked about. So it had the potential to be really funny, but somehow it just fell flat.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I don't know. People, I don't think generally like to bring politics into it, and politics maybe, especially amidst a government shutdown right now, is it's risky territory.
Yes. But he did kind of, we always kind of like to make fun of the judges.
We do.
And we like
Yep.
to make fun of that we have 4 judges from other countries judging America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I feel bad for him. I had high hopes for him in this show, and it didn't work out.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. All right. Moving on. We come off of Taylor Williamson, and we get Cristina Ramos. She is the winner of Britain's Got Talent
Nope.
2016. No,
Spain's
Got
Spain's
Talent.
Got
I'm
Talent.
sorry.
Yeah.
Spain's Got Talent
Yeah.
2016. We're backstage with Terry Crews, and she says it's her first time to America, and it's what a trip. And she claims that she's shy. And her I guess we don't get a lot more background on her, and I think that the producers were wanting to save her big reveal for her act.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So she comes out, she's doing sort of a very operatic version of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yes.
Starts right in with Mama Just Killed a Man. Has a really interesting costuming. It has this sort of cape on and these lights that are flowing off of her. And it really looked beautiful. It kind of reminded me of like Hunger Games, Girl on Fire. Like, just the way that the lights flowed around her was really neat. But then the music drops and you hear the record needle, rip off the record. And she rips the cape, drops the cape down, and she's more in her rock and roll outfit now. And the music changes from the operatic part of Bohemian Rhapsody to the rock and roll part, and that's her thing, right? She mashes opera and rock and roll together. This, I think, is the perfect song to highlight what she does. I could imagine her doing like some Styx. Jesus Christ Superstar is a rock opera. I don't know that any of those songs really would lend themselves to what she does, but it's that sort of juxtaposition of the opera and the rock that that's her thing, right? It's a mix of high art and low art, and so she has the potential to appeal to a lot of people, right? People that love the high art but like the edge, and people who maybe more appreciate the low art. And I don't think that's a derogatory term, low art, but want to be brought into the high art space a little bit as well. So she's got a lot of appeal to a lot of people. Judges loved it. Simon said her voice was off the charts. Heidi said it was so much fun. Mel B said, this is what I love about this show. She's a firecracker. Howie says he loves it. It's original. It's different. It says people are going to be talking about her tomorrow. I said it's the best performance that I've seen of Cristina Ramos. I only gave her a B-. That's the same that I gave to Ashleigh and Sully.
Yeah, and weren't you not too high on her during our preview?
Yeah, I was not that high on her. I gave her a higher rating than I did in the preseason. Let me find that.
And who was high on Cristina Ramos in our preview? I just want to.
I think you might have been a little higher.
Okay, I want to make sure of that. I just want to check in.
I gave her a D+.
Okay.
Preseason, and I knocked her all the way up to a B- here. So, she's definitely moving the right direction for me. But maybe this is not my thing. I don't know.
I wasn't too high on it at first. I thought the opera part of Bohemian Rhapsody was all right. When she switched, and we knew she was going to switch to the rock. We knew it. I think that this was a great shock value for the audience because they didn't know who she was. I'd say 9.5 million people watching at home didn't know who she was.
Most likely, yeah.
And so I think that really helped her, that people didn't know what she was going to do. They probably thought she
Yep.
was just an opera singer at first, and then just like when she was on Spain's Got Talent, she basically switches gears completely. People were just going crazy when she finished singing Bohemian Rhapsody. It also adds points in my book anytime there's fire on stage.
Yeah.
So when there's fire shooting up all over the place, I think that adds a lot more excitement to it. I was expecting a golden buzzer from this one as well, and I think Simon was even calling for it.
Yeah, he might have been. But no, again, she sits on it. No golden buzzer yet.
Nope, she's really holding on tight to that golden buzzer.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, what is it that she's waiting for?
Yeah, I was wondering that as well, and kind of when the lights went out for light balance, Howie knew it was light balance for somehow, and then when they brought Cristina Ramos was getting ready to come out, they actually had someone from production telling the judges that she was coming out. They told them who was next, and then she comes out and I think talks to them and kind of explains who she was. This was I think maybe this before, I don't think it was Ashleigh and Sully. I think it was starting now with these internationals that we've covered, that they had to explain who they are, what they've done, that type of thing, because no one's ever heard of these people.
Yeah. They are sort of new to most of the audience. Simon certainly knows who they all are, but I don't know. I think the audience loved her. We'll get to it, but she did very well with the fan vote as well. So I'm not terribly surprised that she did really well with them, given the. I think that is the perfect song for her to do. But I don't know. Better than I expected from her. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I will agree that it was much better than what I think we expected.
Yeah.
Well, we continue on with our internationals.
Yeah. Next, we've got the DDF Crew, who won Holland's Got Talent, but they're from Belgium.
That's right.
And they won in 2012 of Holland Got Talent, which I understand was their season 5. In their video package, they say, jump rope wasn't popular, and they had some American jump ropers come to their school, and then they started jumping, and then they just never stopped.
Yeah, this was a little surprising to me that they had never seen jump roping before.
Yeah, just not something they were familiar with, or what exposure they had. I don't know, but they had gotten to perform in Vegas. They have their own theater show.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking they're going to be really clean. They should be good, right? They have a stage show. They have a lot of potential here to really impress. So I was excited. They've been doing this since 2012, right? So certainly a lot of hours of practice under their under their feet. They come out wearing some purple teal looking athletic jackets, some sweatpants. I'm thinking we're going to see a costume change, but we never saw a costume change. There was maybe some things that they could have done that would have ramped up the wow factor a little bit. They did all their double Dutch tricks where, from their feet and then their hands and their feet and their hands again. They do some spin moves and some dance moves. One where a guy is doing a handstand and jumping just from his hands. Another trick that I always love with the jump ropers is when they do it on their butt, and they move their whole body up into the air from their butt, so it's bouncing on their butt with nothing touching the ground but their butt. I don't fully understand how they do that, but that's some glutes, man. I also did some single rope tricks, which were fine. The judges didn't have a lot of really good stuff to say about them, though.
No, Howie, I think, was the most critical of them.
Yeah. Howie said that act wouldn't have ranked on America's Got Talent. Was it nerves? Simon said context is everything, and it was fun. And he think it has more to do. They have more than what they showed us, but it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't their best. Heidi said they were perfectly timed. They had a lot of tricks, and they made it look easier than it is. Mel B gave us a simple, I really enjoyed it. So I really like variety acts, simply for the variety. I give a couple extra points because this is not, it's not singing. It's not just dancing. It's not just something. It's unique. There's not a lot of really great jump ropers in the world. So I give him a few bonus points for that. It's another B- from me. This also matches Ashleigh and Sully. Also matches Cristina Ramos.
Well, I kind of enjoyed this a little bit. We've seen double Dutch jump ropers on AGT before. I think they typically don't make it past judge cuts. I'm pretty sure they don't make it to the live shows. So Howie is somewhat right that these wouldn't do very well if it was on AGT proper. If they've got more, they should have brought it. As I talked last week, this is Champions. You've got to bring everything you have.
Yeah. I think they should have. Could have brought more, but they didn't.
We also got some boos from the crowd towards Howie for his opinions.
Yeah,
so that was kind of new for this show.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to decide what I really want from the judges here. Do I want that honesty where they are a little critical, or do I want them to just pump them up? But I don't really want them just to pump them up, but I don't really want them to be critical. I'm not sure. I'm kind of on two minds of the thing.
Do you think this act was buzzworthy? Do you think Taylor Williamson was buzzworthy?
No.
Okay.
No. They may not have lived up to expectations, but it's nothing that I didn't want to see.
Okay, fair enough. Well, did you want to see your boy Viktor Kee?
Oh man, I'd been looking forward to seeing Viktor Kee. He was a finalist on season 11. That's 2016. In his video package, we're seeing that he is one of the very best jugglers in the world. There were bobbles, but he does make it through to the finals, regardless. Now he's married. He has an 11-month-old boy who I think is named Leonardo.
I think that was right, yeah.
And as a father, of course, it's driving him to be better. Life has changed a lot, and being back on America's Got Talent could change his life again. So he comes out. He's got one single spotlight above him. And, Viktor Kee, if you're not familiar with him, if you think of a juggling act, usually you think comedy, right? It's a clown. And while he is he is in makeup, but he's almost a dramatic juggler, right? It's more drama than comedy. And he starts out with one single ball. He's sort of doing the thing where he interacts with the lights around him. Think, like Kenichi Oniba or the guy that did the Diablo juggling, working with the lights around him with that technology. And what he's doing with the single ball, I think it's called contact juggling, where he's not actually throwing the ball, but he's sort of rolling it around, on parts of his body or making it look like it stays in one spot as he sort of pulls on it or pushes on it. And he does, a little bit of work there. And he sets that in front of him. We have 3 more balls fall from the stage. He does some really quick, low juggling, moving his hands very quickly. He does a million tricks in a few seconds on the stage. There's behind the back and under the leg and over, all the different things that jugglers do. I fear that he almost does too much to really appreciate everything that he's doing here. A couple of highlights with those 3 balls. He does like a rainbow pattern. So it's from from his right hand to his left hand, and then from his left hand to his right. But they're all just moving in a circle. But he's leaning back, and he's throwing it from his right hip over to his left hip, and then he passes it from his left hand behind his back to his right hand to complete the circle. So he's kind of got that thing going. While he's leaning back and doing that, passing the balls over his hips, he spins his body in a circle with his feet. So, I feel like the number of things that could go wrong, the number of variables that he's working with, very good. He adds a fourth ball. And I really enjoyed this while he's sort of moving the balls in time to the music. It's not just a smooth flowing of the juggling. And with 4 balls, one of them is moving to the floor. And then he'll sort of like hacky sack it back up to his hands. Or it's like a soccer move to bring it back into the mix. Or sometimes he's putting it under his chin instead of dropping it to the floor. Some really, really impressive control of all those balls. And then I guess the last thing I wanted to note of his really cool tricks, he had 5 balls. He lined them all up on his arm. He throws them up, and they all go up to different heights, and they fall back down into a juggling pattern. So he is an amazing juggler. I don't know if he's the best in the world, but he is so good. He takes a totally different twist on it by being so dramatic with it instead of so comedic. Like most people tend to be with a juggling act. I love him. And I this kind of act is what I come to America's Got Talent for.
Well, I'm glad that you are so fascinated with him. I'm glad this is something that you're really excited about. He's not one of my favorites. I really liked him when he was, I think, auditions, maybe the first couple of rounds when he was on. But just week after week after that, it's like it was the same thing with the light balls, and he dropped them from the ceiling. It just, we talk about it's something we've never seen before. Well, after a while, it felt like I'd seen it all before.
Sure.
So yeah, it kind of got a little old for me.
If I'm going to say that I would fatigue of light balance after 5 or 10 minutes, I have to believe that I would fatigue of this after some period of time. It might be more like 10 to 15 minutes instead of 5 to 10. But there's certainly a limited range of what you can do.
Agreed. And that's why I think he needs to kind of broaden a little bit. I mean, I understand he's kind of more of a finesse juggler. He's more of a dancer, an acrobat, and it's more of an artistic thing. But I think he needs to kind of broaden it a little bit and do some other types of juggling, juggle some other stuff. The jugglers that I see, they're juggling, this is not his style, but, fire and knives and chainsaws. And I mean, that's the kind of juggling I like to see. I understand what he's doing. It's very, very cool what he's doing. It's not my type of thing. After a while of watching him, after just watching this one performance, I actually got more interested in like what the screen and the floor was doing. Because a lot of the stuff he was doing was in coordination with what the floor and the screen was doing. And I felt myself watching more of that rather than him.
Yeah, and I do kind of wonder, is he interacting with the floor? Is the floor interacting with him, if that makes sense?
Yes, yeah. Is the floor kind of pushing him to do things, or is he pushing the things on the floor to do things? Yeah.
Was the floor design in place, or is it just reacting as he throws things around, I guess?
Yeah.
What I'm wondering.
And he's not the only act that this has happened. I mean, this happened when Merritt Cannon was on, and I found myself being more interested in what was going on the screen than the actual performance itself.
Yeah,
So I would just like to see Viktor Kee kind of do some different stuff. I don't expect him to pull out chainsaws, and that's not his style. But I'd kind of like to see him pull out something different.
Yeah, no, that's fair. This is an act that I was really looking forward to. He didn't disappoint me. I gave him an A.
Okay.
Now that's my act, or that's my grade. I realize that this is not for everyone. But I loved it. I'm giving him an A.
Great. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, I'm glad there's something here that you enjoy. I mentioned in the preview I would have rather seen Passing Zone. I've beat that horse. That's all I've got to say. So
Yeah, yeah. So moving on is an act that you really, I think, expressed some that you were impressed with her.
Yeah.
Tell us about Courtney Hadwin.
So Courtney Hadwin, and I still have not watched the finals of season 13. But so Courtney Hadwin came out. We're all kind of familiar with Courtney Hadwin. She's a very shy teenager, but when she sings, she lets it all out.
So she was sixth place just this last year, season 13, 2018.
Yeah, yes. Yep. And people actually thought she should have been way higher, if not the winner. And I think in the semifinals that Howie actually said that she was the winner of that season, which I don't know if I agree with, that the judges should be doing that. I don't think they should be telling an act, you're the winner, you're going to win. I think it sends the wrong message that it kind of builds them up, and then when it doesn't happen, a teenager, it can really probably harm them a lot.
Certainly. Her expectations were risen.
Yeah. And I just don't think that they, I just don't think they should be telling us that, us the voters, that she should win, or that she is going to win. I just disagree with all that. But anyway, I do think she should have been higher than her sixth place finish.
Yeah.
And she was Howie's golden buzzer that year. So a lot of expectations from Courtney Hadwin. I like that they kind of brought like a little crowd down to the front. It seemed kind of everyone was looking around because there's these people walking down the aisles. I like that they kind of brought a little crowd down front to make it like a little mini concert.
Yeah, and I've noticed that on a few of the other acts, they sort of fill that space between the judges and the stage.
Oh, really? This is the first time I've ever seen it. So they've done this on some of the others.
Yep.
Okay. I'll have to look out for that next time. As she was singing this song, I am just wearing out my keyboard trying to figure out the lyrics to the song that she's singing. I mean, I'm just wearing it out. I could not figure. I mean, is it a Janis Joplin song? Is it some of this other artist song? From all, I'm turning subtitles on, trying to figure out what's the lyrics of the song. What song is it?
All right, I'm not embarrassed to say I did the same thing.
So, I mean, I couldn't find it. I couldn't figure it out. And then at the very end, I think it was Howie that even asked that, right? Was it Howie?
Yeah, Howie said, I didn't recognize that song.
I recognize that song. And she's like, it was an original. And I was like, mind blown. I was like, it's an original. Oh my goodness. I could not believe it. And the fact that Heidi did not immediately press that golden buzzer at that point floored me. I could not believe it.
Yeah, and I wonder, was that a setup from Howie? Like, did he know that, or was he given that instruction to ask that? I do kind of wonder, but it's worth us knowing somehow or another that that was an original song. That's part of the talent, is writing the song.
Yes, and that was a fantastic song. Fantastic song.
Oh, it's fine. I didn't love it.
I loved it. I was into it. I mean, I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out the lyrics and where it was, but I mean, she sang it wonderfully. And the fact that she wrote it and it's her song, I think it should give it a ton of bonus points.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good. She has a definitely, unique style on stage. She looks comfortable on stage. And she has a presence on stage. Heidi called her a lioness. Mel B said that she had figured out her style. Simon says she has confidence, and this was his favorite performance. So she really brings something really, really unique with her to the stage. I gave her a B. It looks like she's having a really wonderful time. I didn't love the song. It wasn't anything much different than what we'd seen before. But you know what? That's higher than a lot of the acts that I've given. So a B on that night's grading scale is pretty good.
Okay. I do like her Jekyll and Hyde type thing. If she comes out, hi, I'm Courtney, and
she couldn't be any meeker.
And then like she starts singing, and it's like, and then at the very end, like, it was an original. So I really like that Jekyll and Hyde type thing, because all these performances she's done on this stage, you think she would have kind of come out of that shell a little bit, and I love that she's still kind of this meek little girl. I mean, teenager, not little girl, but teenager that's like still shy. Yeah. She's still shy. She's still kind of embarrassed about things. It's very cute, very adorable.
She's a young teen. Yeah, she's just a child. But man, yeah, she brings a veracity with her to the stage.
Yeah. That got me fired up.
So we've, both of us have been expecting a couple of golden buzzers up to this point.
Yeah.
And we're up to act 9 of 10 when Deadly Games comes out.
Yeah. Heidi's messing up my golden buzzer average. She's screwing it all up here.
Yeah, the sabermetrics are going crazy.
So yeah, Deadly Games.
But Deadly Games comes out. These semifinalists in 2016 on season 11. Alfredo and Anna Silva. Alfredo comes from a family of entertainers. This is what we learned in his video package. After the show in 2016, his sister had an accident as an aerialist, and she ended up confined to a wheelchair. Alfredo and Anna have a child, and they tell us that they're getting more dangerous. Sometimes I wonder with these danger acts if they're actually getting more dangerous. How close to the edge do we want to get? And is that something that makes voters cautious of voting for them? Do people, maybe not want to see more danger? I don't want to see someone getting closer to death, so they don't vote for them, or if the nerves keep them from pushing them to that next level. I wonder.
Yeah, that's always been my criticism of Mel B. Is that she's afraid of the danger. She doesn't like the danger, so she buzzes the act. Even though it's great, it's a great performance, and it's that good kind of scary. She still buzzes it because she doesn't like it, because she doesn't like that it's scary.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I guess just sort of a curious thing about the psychological side of it. Do I want an act to get more and more dangerous? Not really. I'm okay with the maybe appearance of more danger.
The illusion of danger.
The illusion of more danger, yeah. But I don't actually want it to be more dangerous. And I'm okay with you, not telling me that it's more and more dangerous. I enjoy seeing a nice danger act. So in their actual act, they come out and they're in a science lab, maybe?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a spy movie.
A spy movie? Yeah. All right. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Alfredo, he throws knives at boards that Anna is actually holding in front of her, like in front of her face, in front of her body, to the side of her body. So she's exposed, I guess, to the danger of the knives being thrown. So that's kind of their first part of the trick. Second part of the trick, they go to where Anna is standing like in a door frame.
Yeah.
And the frame spins around her and maybe has like 6 inches of material that he can hit while it passes between them. Well, she's standing in the frame and he's off to the side. So he's throwing knives. He kind of starts low, like at shin level, and then he throws it at thigh level, and then belly button level. And the last 3 knives, did you notice this? They didn't hit the outside of the door frame between him and Anna, but they hit the inside of the door frame on the far side of Anna.
No, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Like, I went behind her?
Yes.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I was wondering, like I went back and watched it, and I thought those last 3 knives were mistakes or misses, But when I went back, I think that was intentional. And I think that was part of the trick to bring that, to show just how accurate, just how good he was. And, maybe that's something that if he's in the zone, that's what he does with some of the knives. Maybe that wasn't part of the plan. I don't know. But I think that was him stepping up the danger just a little bit more, hitting the inside of the door frame on the far side of Anna instead of the outside of the door frame between the two. But yeah, it was really impressive. It looked really good on TV. I thought that trick translated really well. I liked that one.
Yeah, I love Deadly Games. They're one of my favorite acts. I'm not gonna say of all time, but I mean I really enjoyed them when they were on, and I think they're one of the best danger acts that we've seen.
Yeah, very good. Oh, we didn't mention he shoots a crossbow.
Yes.
One where he shoots a martini glass in front of her face, and the other one he shoots it facing backwards with the crossbow over his shoulder, and he uses was it Heidi's camera?
Yes, the front-facing camera on her phone. Yeah.
To look down the sight of the crossbow to shoot a handkerchief out of her hand. So. Kind of cool. I enjoyed this. It was a really fun act. I think it translates really well to TV. I think it translates really well to a live studio audience. Howie says it's dangerous and sexy. Simon says it was unbelievable. Heidi says she almost had a panic attack. It pushes her to the limit, and then she hits the golden buzzer. This was a great act. Nearly perfect. A miss would be a very serious problem for a stage act like this.
No, you have to be 100% accurate.
You have to be 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Jump ropers can miss a jump. Jugglers can drop a ball. Comedians can bomb. They have zero room for error.
Right.
So I liked it a lot. I'm going to give them an A-.
A-. Okay. I love Deadly Games. I think they're one of the best danger acts we've seen on this show. Was it golden buzzer worthy? I don't know. Would they have gone through without it? Probably not. I definitely think Courtney Hadwin was probably a better golden buzzer. Light Balance was probably a better Ashleigh and Sully, maybe golden buzzer. I think Heidi probably got to this point and was like, I better use it because I don't know what's last, and it could be something really bad. So it was almost like she did it out of desperation.
Yeah, I think that Darci Lynne could have gone through. She could have. A lot of really great acts that we saw that she had passed up on. So, that's what we got.
Yep. Well,
and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I think that this kind of act can elicit a very visceral response. So I'm not terribly surprised that she did, but I'm a little bit, yeah.
I'm kind of happy to see a variety danger act in the finals. I mean, it's not going to be all singers. We have a variety act, which I always love to see variety acts. I love to see danger acts. So it'll be nice to kind of have them in the finals. Agreed.
I love having variety.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, even though she's used it, I think the next one was also a candidate for the golden buzzer.
I think so too. Yeah. Last but not least, do you want to walk us through Piff the Magic Dragon?
I'll see if I can give Piff justice here. I don't know if I will, but so this is my first full exposure to Piff, other than the 2 times I saw him in the holiday special.
Yeah.
The first time I've seen him solo on stage, and I loved this. This was, I think, the best act of the night.
All right.
Yeah, I think this was the best act of the night. I loved the story that he told about him coming to America. He was, I think, trying to get on AGT or trying to get a performance or do something, and he was getting ready to give up and go back to England, and AGT called and said, hey, we want you to come on the show. He did, and the rest is history. And I just think that's a wonderful story to tell.
Yeah.
I think that the I think his banter with the judges is another one that's top notch, just like Taylor and all the other comedians. I love that he's a comedian and a magician.
Yes.
His stage presence is fantastic. I love how he comes out, and I may have seen this before. He comes out with his little podium, his little table thing. He just pops it out and drops it on the floor. I think that's
like from
hilarious.
A briefcase into a podium.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. His the way he talks about Mr. Piffles not getting excited about anything. Mr. Piffles is adorable. Now, I don't think he did much magic with Mr. Piffles, and I'll let you kind of explain the magic a little bit here. But I thought this was absolutely fantastic. The showgirl, the Las Vegas showgirl, was a nice little touch as well.
That's a consistent part of his act is the Vegas showgirl.
Okay, good. I didn't know if that was just because he has a show in Vegas. I think he said they even just named a theater after him.
They did.
So, he's Piff's doing fairly well these days.
He's doing great these days. So his act was really a comedy sketch that had one trick from beginning to end. It was not a number of tricks.
Yes, and I kind of like this. I like where it's it rolls up into one kind of story, and you go back and it relates to something at the beginning. I kind of like all that. The callback. Yeah. I love the callback. Yeah.
So he invites Heidi up on stage and asks to borrow a ring of hers, and he puts it on a spoon, and he puts some dog food on top of the ring. And he says that it's Mr. Piffles' ring cleaning service. He's been cleaning rings for years. No, he says he's been cleaning his own ring for years.
Yes.
So to us dog owners, we know what that is. But maybe a little bit of some blue humor there.
Yeah.
But so he hands or I guess Heidi has Mr. Piffles lick the spoon clean to clean the ring. But she says that the dog ate her ring. So Piff the Magic Dragon goes on to feed Mr. Piffles a laxative and says that Mr. Piffles will pass the ring any moment now while he holds a bag under Mr. Piffles' backside.
He's doing a deep cleaning, right?
Doing a deep clean.
Yeah.
So something drops into the bag, and Heidi reaches into the bag, and it is an egg. So Mr. Piffles laid an egg for us. They return back
I think Taylor laid the egg earlier.
Maybe. They go back to the judge's desk, crack the egg into a glass. I'm not sure, we weren't shown how the egg got from the glass into his hand, but he tells Heidi to stick her finger into the broken egg in his hand, and there's her ring under the egg in his hand. Then he goes back up on stage. His assistant gives gift pictures of Mr. Piffles and plush Mr. Piffles to the judges. And that's sort of the end of the act. It is fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can really translate what Piff the Magic Dragon does to just talking about it. But, he has this such a dry sense of humor. He does not break character even a little bit.
And the British accent adds to it. I think
it really does. Yeah. Howie says, you're truly professional. If you don't come in number one, maybe you'll be number two. We're back to the poop jokes.
Yeah.
Heidi says, I love that he hasn't become all Hollywood on him. And he uses that to trigger the Carlot balloon animals. And there's a blimp that comes out on stage that says Piffles on it. Simon,
he's still humble. He's still a down to earth guy.
Yeah. He's not letting it go to his head. Simon says that his story that he told before the act is everything that they want of the show, and he has been one of the best ambassadors of the show. And I feel like he knows how to walk this line between being totally cheesy and super professional. And he knows how to walk the line to a perfect comedic effect. The Vegas showgirl, he doesn't really know how to use her, but he knows that he's a Vegas performance and he's supposed to have one. So he does, the Carlot balloon guys, like that's the sort of thing that, is like, oh, wow, those are spectacular. I should have some of those in my show. Not really knowing what to do with them, but they should just be there, or that's what he plays, right? So, I really love this character that's just a little bit awkward, doing the right thing, not, this character maybe doesn't fully understand it, but I think that he gets it, and it tickles me to the bone.
I'm glad I'm now finally exposed to a Piff the Magic Dragon performance, because he's one of the best. I think, was it either Howie or Simon said that he's the one that, he's a good ambassador for the show, for AGT as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
The trick itself is not a great trick. I'm sure he just palmed the ring and brought it back out at the end. But I'll knock him a point for that. He still gets an A instead of an A+.
Absolutely.
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the 10 acts.
And that was a great way to end the show.
Yep.
So.
Yep. He's wonderful. Courtney Hadwin and Darci Lynne Farmer and Cristina Ramos make the top 3.
Yeah, I thought this was a little interesting. No Piff, no Viktor Kee, no Light Balance, no Ashleigh or Sully. I mean, they really weed this down, don't they?
They do. I before they announced their top 3, I thought this was a great episode. I don't know how you're going to narrow it down to 2 out of all of these acts. I gave 3 A's and an A-.
Overall, this was a much better show than week 1.
Yeah. I thought it was super show. So they tell us who's going to be 3rd place, and it's Courtney Hadwin.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing.
She did win the 18 to 34 age range.
Whatever that means. Those 50 people.
Darci Lynne Farmer came in 2nd. She won the South, and our winner is Cristina Ramos.
Yeah, that's a shocker. And
I did not see that coming.
I don't think anybody did. I don't even think she saw that coming.
No.
I think she was just as shocked as everybody else.
Yeah. She gets those points for everybody who didn't know who she was, which I'm guessing is a lot. She gets those shock value points that it's really hard for any of the other acts to get.
Agreed. Considering we've seen most of these except for her and DDF Crew, and they weren't as good as she was. She was really good in this show. It was still shocking to see her and not Darci get this. And I think everyone else was a little shocked that Darci didn't get it.
Yeah.
So she moves on to the finals. Her and Deadly Games move on to the finals.
Yes. Updating our brackets then. Last week you had 3 acts eliminated.
Yep.
This week you had Taylor Williamson eliminated.
Yep.
I had Darci Lynne Farmer, Piff the Magic Dragon, and Viktor Kee all eliminated.
Yep. So you had 3 go home as well.
Yeah. So I believe I'm the only one with an act to advance yet.
Yes.
With Susan Boyle.
Yep.
Which surprises me. Man. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 eliminated acts and one through of our 20 so far.
Yep. We're getting torn apart in this.
Again, they didn't ask us to be the Superfans. They definitely missed some of the best judges out there.
Yeah. So do you know who we have next week?
Yeah, I've got the list here. I've got Angelica Hale, one of our preteen singers.
Yeah.
I think she was from 2018. We've got Billy and Emily England.
2017.
2017. Okay.
Season 12. Season 12.
Billy and Emily England, the Extreme Rollerblade Duo.
Okay.
Darcy Oak, the Canadian magician.
Okay, I'm excited about that. Yep.
From Australia's Got Talent, if I recall. DJ Arch Jr., our 3 to 6 year old DJ.
This is the one I'm most interested to see, just to see what he brings, because we don't know really anything about him. He's now twice as old as he was when he won South Africa's Got Talent.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm excited.
I said interested.
But I'm interested.
I'm most interested. So.
We've also got John Dornbos, our NFL magician.
Sweet.
Paul Potts, the British Got Talent Season 1 winner.
Okay.
Opera singer. Prince Poppycock, America's Got Talent opera singer.
I'm interested in this one because he's been away from AGT for a while, so I'm curious what he's going to bring back.
He's been away for a while. I'm curious what... Is he still doing this act? Is it something that... I don't know. We've got Ryan Stock and Amber Lynn, the sideshow duo. Comedian Samuel J. Comroe. And another stand-up comedian, Tom Cotter.
Now you were talking about, do we want to see more danger? Well, you don't want to see someone get shot in the face with a flaming arrow.
Yeah, let's bring the danger level down and not shoot people in the face with flaming arrows.
So according to Prince Poppycock's wiki, it says years active, 1980s to present.
Oh, wow.
So,
but if I recall, his day job is like a welder or machinist or something. Yeah.
I'll have to dig further into that to find out what his actual day job is.
Yeah. So it should be a good show next week. I think, I don't know if any of our top 10s are in here.
I got Prince Poppycock.
You got Prince Poppycock.
Yep.
All right.
And Tom Cotter.
And Tom, okay. Yeah. So, we'll, I guess, review these acts in another week's time.
Absolutely. But if you guys got any feedback or any questions or comments for us, you can definitely reach out to us. We're on all the social medias. Facebook, we're on there, AGT Time. I'm sorry, AGT Cast. Don't go to AGT Time. That's some other guy's page, and he hasn't posted on there in like 5 years. So don't go to that page. Go to AGT Cast.
AGT Cast on Facebook.
Yeah, on Twitter, AGT Time.
AGT Time on Facebook. No, on Twitter.
Now we're really confusing people.
AGT Time on Twitter. See, it's alliterative. AGT Time Twitter.
Yes.
AGT Cast on Facebook.
There you go. And then our email, agtcast@gmail.com. Jay and I are both individually on Twitter. I'm at Cody L. Patterson.
And I'm at One Man Bander, all spelled out.
Yep. And so also go leave us a 5-star review out on iTunes. We'd love some feedback, some comments, 5-star reviews.
We have yet to get a review on iTunes since I've started with the podcast. We'd love to give somebody the golden buzzer.
We want to send people
give a big thanks.
Yep. So that's all we got for tonight. Anything else, Jay?
No, I think we've sufficiently beat this dead horse.
So next week we'll be back for week 3. Everyone, have a good night.
Thanks. Bye.